Do you always feel like you need more money, like you're unable to cover your base expenses, but you have nothing left to put towards your financial goals or, those extra expenses that seem to come up every single month? What if I told you it has little to do with the amount of income you bring in, but rather the way you, or maybe I should say you aren't, budgeting? In today's episode, you are going to learn how my budgeting system will keep money in your budget and on autopilot. You will learn if you are in fact budgeting or, simply taking care of your needs first and then using what was left over however you feel is necessary in the moment. And how you can prepare for unexpected expenses and still have spending freedom, all with a budget. So go get your drink, open your heart to God, and let's dive in. If you're ready to build wealth, ensure financial security, stop overspending, and finally create a budget you can stick to, you mama are in the right place. Hi, I'm Molly, a budget coach and financial strategist who went from living paycheck to paycheck to paying off debt, saving money, and going on vacation, all by budgeting. And I help mamas just like you budget and create God-centered systems and routines so that you too can have financial freedom. Now stop pinching those pennies and let's dive in. So you want to learn how to budget. You want to stop living paycheck to paycheck so you can do more than pay bills and eat food, because doesn't everyone, right? You want to stop cutting costs simply to make it by. You want to lose the stress, lose the exhaustion, and everything else that boils up inside of you every single time you sit down to manage your money or even think about it. What if I told you that could be you next month? You could shed the stress, the worry, the exhaustion. You could start paying off debt, reaching financial goals, and start building wealth. Can you feel the stress melting away? I know I can. I definitely feel it for you. I felt it for me. What if I told you that in just one budget coaching session, this could become your reality? So I don't want you to wait one more minute. I want you to go to www.calendly.com/Molly Bunnell. So that's CALENDLY.com/Molly with a Y, B as in boy, ENELL, and book your call today so that this can become your reality. But if you're still not sure if this is for you and you have some questions, then feel free to send me an email at mollybunnell@gmail.com and let's talk. But I also want to remind you that there's not much time left between now and when this baby comes. So if this is something that you want done before the new year or even the Christmas season, reach out and let's make your budget predictable. Oh my goodness. So it is amazing how much a budget can do for you. When I first started budgeting, I used to air quote budget by paying bills first, buying what was most important second, and then doing whatever with the remaining. There was no thought put into it about what was coming up on the calendar, about yearly bills that may need to be covered, or things that might pop up over the month that I wasn't prepared for. There was no planning around paying off debt or setting financial goals. It was simply taking care of the necessities and then spending the rest willy-nilly, however I felt like it in the moment, right? This is the exact definition of living paycheck to paycheck. Like, this is what I call living paycheck to paycheck. Yes, it's a mindset thing, but it's also like the physical part of it is simply just doing what you can with what you have and not really having a plan. That's That's what I call living paycheck to paycheck. And it's a very common way to live. So I want to say right off the bat, do not feel ashamed if this is how you budget. Rather, use it as a way to motivate yourself to make a change so that you can get off the unpredictable paycheck to paycheck roller coaster and into a more settled and predictable way of budgeting, because that's going to bring you consistency. It's going to allow you to cover everything that I talked about that I had never thought about before until all of a sudden one day I'm like, oh yeah, I have to pay that? What? And so that is how this is going to like bring you into being able to budget with predictability, because when you are able to know what's going on, see what is actually available, see what's actually happening, you're able to make a more solid decision when it comes to making financial decisions, like something that's actually you're going to feel confident about, right? You're going to be happy, and it may not be in the future something that you wanted to make, but in the moment when you are making that decision, you will feel good about it, right? Alrighty, so let's jump into how to get money back into your budget, because that's what you're really here for. That's what you're excited to learn about, right? And I first want to talk about is specifically how my system will keep money in your budget and on autopilot. So you don't have to go out there and try to make more money. You just have to be able to see what's actually going on and use your money to the best of your ability. And the way you do that, especially with the way I teach it, is through having a bills system paired with my base budgeting system. So I'm not going to go too deep into this because I do have episodes on these two systems and I do have them linked in the show notes. So if you want to learn more about them, go ahead and go check it out there. But essentially, the bills system is where you're going to gain that consistent paycheck number. So you're not, when you're living paycheck to paycheck and you are sitting down to budget, you're essentially paying every single bill that's coming due in that pay period, right? And my bill system is the same way, only instead of it taking out the different numbers, like when you sit down to do the paycheck to paycheck style of budgeting, you are literally looking at what has to come out, like the exact amount that comes out. So that means, let's say this pay period, you have $500 that goes towards bills. And the next pay period, you have like $1,300 that goes towards bills. That is a significantly different amount, and that's going to work your mental part of your brain so much more and make things more difficult to actually be able to cover all of the things that you want to be able to cover in the future, right? All of your goals, because you're in that feast and famine cycle. You're like, oh, I only have $500 in bills this pay cycle, which means I have, and I'm just throwing random numbers out there, which means I have like $2,000 to spend this week, right? And so I can do a whole bunch with that money, or I can go and blow it all and not know where it goes, because you're like, oh, I've got all this money and all this stuff needs to be bought. Let's go buy it, and it's gone. Or you can be in my bills system where you have a consistent paycheck. So you're essentially taking all of your bills and dividing the total amount by the amount of pay cycles you have a month. So if you get paid 4 times a month, you divide it by 4, and so on and so forth, right? Depending on how you are paid, right? But when you do that, that means that every single paycheck, the amount that goes towards bills is the same. You are not having a $500 pay cycle and a $1,300 pay cycle. You are having a whatever that is divided by 2. That is not an easy number. So I don't know, $700 or $800 roughly is what that might come out to if I did the math on that correctly in quick time. I'm not a math person, not my strong suit. So, but that will come out to an even, let's just say it's $800. Let's say it's $800 every single pay period, which means that there is no roller coaster ride. There's no feast or famine feeling. Like you have the same amount every single time coming out, and it just makes everything else so much more consistent. So now you may ask, okay, well, that's fun and that's really nice to know, but how does that put money back into my budget? So that puts money back into your budget because you're not having that mental stress of, oh my gosh, I've got a feast of a whole bunch of money coming in because I only have $500 this pay cycle. When I have $1,300 left in the pay cycle, I've only got $200 left to put towards gas and groceries and everything. And it just feels so stressful. But when you have a consistent amount, you're no longer going, oh, I've got to use this all up before it's gone, or I've got to pinch pennies to make this stretch. You're going, okay, here's my consistent numbers. Here, using my base budgeting system, I can give out money towards every single area that I want, towards every single goal with the equal and same amount every single time. Like the inconsistency is gone. You're bringing money back into your budget that you can plan ahead for. And that's going to prevent you from spending money willy-nilly in the moment because you have a plan for it, right? That is the beauty of having consistent paycheck numbers. And then the base budget allowing you to actually have goals and plans and dreams that you can achieve. You're able to see everything and being able to make those solid financial decisions, those confident decisions and being at peace with them is just so much easier. Okay, but wait, I'm not done yet. Not only are you going to have consistent numbers with the base budgeting system, you are then going to use the base budgeting system because this system isn't just like your monthly system. It is you figuring out what the lowest amount you will bring in every single paycheck and using that as your base budget to cover all of your needs and all of your wants, right? So then whatever is remaining is what you are saving. That is the beauty of the base budgeting system. So you're going to have your base budget numbers figured out for every single paycheck, and then you're going to sit down and you're going to figure out the amount that's remaining, and that's what you get to put towards your goals. That's what you get to use to achieve your dreams and go on those vacations, pay off debt, save up for retirement. Whatever your goal is, that is what you get to put that money towards. And that is how you put money back into your budget. Okay, so that is how my system will put money back into your budget, right? So how do you prevent unexpected expenses? This is kind of something that goes with it because yes, you can have the system in place, but then what about these unexpected expenses that come up out of nowhere that you're not prepared for? Well, you can be prepared for them. That is what I'm going to tell you next, right? So you can be prepared for them in 3 ways. You can first have 3 to 6 months of expenses for job loss or pay cuts, right? And even if that doesn't happen, then woohoo, you get to use it for retirement and it's accruing money for you because of interest and all of that. So your money will be working for you. Second, so I'm going from highest to lowest, right? Second is having a $1,000 to $2,000 emergency fund for true emergencies. So I use this for when something breaks down, like an appliance or a vehicle, and I need to go and get it fixed right away, right? I use this for when my husband's grandma passed away and we had to travel a lot to go and see everyone for the funeral and everything. Those are the things that I use that money for. And then I also have what I call a miscellaneous fund. So this is $100 to $200 for things that you forgot were coming up and didn't budget for in the budget. So these unexpected expenses can be prepared for, and these are true unexpected expenses. There are a lot of things, and I want you to sit down and ponder this yourself. But there are a lot of things that people consider unexpected expenses, and yes, I just put air quotes around that, when they're not true unexpected expenses. They're just things that people didn't plan for. And what an example of that could be is like a kid's, maybe it's your first time taking or putting a kid through some sort of sports, and you weren't prepared for the pictures that could come up. You weren't prepared for the equipment that you might have needed to be getting, the gas it takes to travel to go watch them or take them there. All that kind of stuff you didn't really plan for, right? Those can be considered unexpected expenses, but they're not really unexpected. It's just something that you didn't like figure out the whole cost of what it was going to be. You just thought, oh, it's just the one cost kind of thing and one and done, but that's not the case, right? It could also be things like your yearly expenses that, yes, you know that they come up every single year, or maybe it's a bi-yearly expense like your insurance, and you're just not saving up for it, and you have to figure out how you're going to pay for it in the moment. Like, that is stressful, trying to come up with that much money for taxes and for car registration, especially if you have a newer car. Registration can be ridiculous for brand new vehicles. And so if you're not prepared for those kind of things, you can maybe consider them unexpected expenses, or maybe even school supplies. You're like, oh my gosh, I got to pay for this. How am I going to pay for this? Christmas. There are so many things that are expected, but they're not a monthly thing. So it's not part of your monthly expenses that you expect to have to pay for every single month. And so you don't think about them. And when they do come up, you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to take care of this? I don't have the funds for it. And that's what sinking funds are for, to take care of those things, right? So make sure you go check out that episode too and learn about sinking funds so that you can get those set up. But prevent those unexpected expenses that are true unexpected expenses through your two types of emergency funds and your miscellaneous fund. And then to prevent the ones that are expected, but you just completely forgot about them because it's a yearly expense or it's a bi-yearly expense, then set up sinking funds so that you are able to cover those and it's coming out of your monthly budget instead of like a one-time thing that you have to really stretch and figure out where the money's coming from for those kind of things, right? Okay, so then how does a budget give you spending freedom? This is something that a lot of people like don't feel like a budget does. They feel like it is putting like boundaries in place, like putting your money in cages, essentially. That may be a bit extreme, but it's keeping you from being able to use your money how you want to. But that's not the case. What it is doing is it's allowing you to make purchases without worry of it affecting other parts of your budget, right? So you don't have to worry about making a purchase that's going to affect your bills account unless you're using your bills account, right? You don't have to worry about something affecting your groceries unless you're using that grocery account. Everything is separated up, and that's why I'm talking about different accounts, because the best way to do this is through either a cash envelope system or a digital cash envelope system, which I am all for the digital cash envelope systems. Because that is how you're able to split up your money and not have it all in one location where you're like, well, am I using that money? Am I not using that money? I don't know where this money is coming from, like what budgeted amount it's coming from. Have I reached that budgeted amount? Like without tracking in a traditional budgeting style, you do not know what is going on with your money. That is why I suggest splitting it up and using the digital cash envelope system. So another way that this gives you the spending freedom, though, is you are able to make purchases based on your goals. So yeah, there may be something that came up and you've used all of your personal spending money and you're like, well, I'd really like to do that, but I've already used all that money. So I guess I'm out for this round because I don't have the finances. Well, it's not that you don't have the finances, it's just it's not a priority because you've already prioritized the rest of your income and you are not going to go against those goals, right? If you do go against those goals, it could either have a longer waiting period to achieve like your debt payoff or your vacation that you're saving up for, but it could also affect your bills account if you decide to use money from there, or your grocery account if you decide to use money from there, right? There are so many ways that it can affect, but because you have it split up in a digital cash envelope form, you are able to say, oh, well, I guess I'm going to spend the money out of this account and know the consequence that you will have by using that money because you know what it's going to affect. And that is a game changer in your budget. That is where your freedom to spend comes into play because you know what you are going to affect when you decide to make that purchase, or you make a good financial decision and you don't affect those things, right? Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't ever go out and have fun, right? Definitely, if that's coming up in the month and you have it scheduled in there and planned for, by all means, use your remaining income, what's left over from your base budgeting system, and take care of that stuff. Go have fun and be okay with delaying your gratification of achieving your financial goals. That is something you have to be okay with. That's what you have to give and take. You have to make those solid financial decisions based off of what is actually important to you, right? Because you could set a financial goal and it really not be that important. You may be in a season where you just want to go out and have some fun, right? To have a break from living the stressful life of paycheck to paycheck living, right? And just have a little bit of freedom to spend that money. But then you have to be okay with the fact that you are going to still be in debt if that's a financial goal, or you're going to have to push off that vacation even further, right? That is the things that you have to give and take. You have to weigh what is more important in this season of life. What are your goals as a family? What are your goals as yourself, with God, and just really pray over what is important so that you can have a good, solid financial decision and you can make choices that you are confident in. So I hope you're seeing over this episode how this is putting money back into your account, right? By having the bills system and the base budgeting system, you are automatically being able to use your money in a much better format than just spending willy-nilly in that feast and famine cycle that you live in when you're living paycheck to paycheck, right? With the emergency funds and the miscellaneous funds and the sinking funds, you then have plans in place to prevent your unexpected expenses, right? And the plans is how you are able to go from spending every dollar versus paying what is important and then using the rest however you deem fit in the moment, right? You're able to know where every dollar is going. You're able to stop the impulse buying and the unknown buying, right? When it comes to the traditional budgeting system, unless you are on top of your tracking, it's really hard to know if you're using the money in another savings bucket, right? Or in another category because you don't have it separated, right? You can't see it as easily. It's not as easy to track. But when you have that money separated out into the digital cash envelope system, you are able to see what is truly going on with less tracking and make solid financial decisions that are you're confident in. And that, my friend, is how you get money put back into your budget, even without having to go out and make more income. So if this is something that you're like, oh my gosh, I really want this, I don't know how to implement this, I would like some help, then please reach out, because this is a system that I am going to take you through. This is what the predictable paycheck method is all about, is setting you up so that you can know what is going on in your budget. It's going to put money back into your budget because you're going to be able to see it. You're going to be able to make plans for your money. And I want you to have that. I want you to have the spending freedom. I want you to be able to make solid financial, confident choices that you are happy with, instead of just going, I don't know what to do, and just throwing something at the wall and hoping that it works, right? This is how you get out of the feast and famine cycle of living paycheck to paycheck, and allows you to be able to know what's going on with every dollar without the difficult traditional style of tracking, because that is where most people fall short. I myself included do not enjoy doing that. I don't have the time for that. I don't have the desire when I'm out there spending money to sit down and have to track every single little purchase to see, oh, well, how much is remaining in that category? Do I have enough to buy this? Do I not? I know simply by opening my bank account how much money I have for whatever it is that I want to buy. And I can say, yes, I still want to buy that and move money around. Or I can say, no, I don't want to do that because I don't have the money to be moving money around, and I don't want to affect my bills. I don't want to affect not being able to eat food or go drive to the places that I need to for whatever reason, right? I don't want my needs squandered because of an impulse thing that I wanted to buy. So that is what I want for you. And I hope and pray this is something you want for you as well. And if it is, please, please, please reach out to me. If you have any questions, go to mollybennell@gmail.com and just send me a message asking your questions. Or if you're ready to dive in right now, head first, then jump on over to calendly.com/mollybennell and book your call right now, so that come Christmas and the new year, you have your new budgeting system in place, because I am going to be taking time off when this baby comes, which is going to be mid-December sometime. And so I won't be taking any calls then, right? So if this is something that you want, jump on it now so that you can get this flowing for you and working for you, because it can be going as quickly as a month from now, and you can have it all in place and you can be using it stress-free, able to reach your goals, able to make solid financial Christmas decisions, because that's right around the corner. Okay, so if that's something that you would like, again, go over and book your call at calendly.com/mollybennell. Or if you have any questions, shoot me an email at mollybennell@gmail.com. And I am super excited to work with you, and I will see you next time. Hey mama, I pray that today's episode has inspired you and grew you. If so, will you please share it with that friend who is praying for a budget breakthrough, and leave a rating and review so that you can help get the podcast out to other mamas struggling with their budget. Also, get some support for yourself by joining my free Facebook group and becoming an insider, where you get weekly support emails and are the first to find out when something new is on its way. You can find the links in the show notes, and I will see you right back here next Tuesday.